Hey guys, how's it going today? So my name is P017 or PO17, and I'm going to be bringing you a little bit of a different video today. It's actually one I've been wanting to make for a little while. So this is not going to be talking about any sort of specific CRT, and in the video, or in the title, you'll know kind of what we're talking about. But it is in relation to CRT, so that's why I'm showing you some video footage of my JVC iArt 32-inch. This is playing on my Sega Genesis Model 1 through Composite Video, and it's playing Alien Soldier, which is a pretty neat game. It's a Japan-only release, but I have an English translation cart, so it's technically a reproduction. But it's in a original Genesis case and board, which is pretty neat. But what I'm going to be mainly talking about and focusing on is the video quality of the Sega Genesis, in particular my version. So I have a Model 1, as I said. It's a VA6 board, HD graphics one, which is really nice. It does not have very much composite rainbowing, and it has a very sharp image, no real audio issues, anything like that. So I'm just running it as is. The console's not modded at all. But the one thing about all of my consoles hooked up to my big old JVC is that all of them are running either S-Video or Component in to the TV. And for Composite looks okay, but I don't run it at all with any of my consoles. And that was a problem with the Sega Genesis in particular. Also, don't mind the shutter issue. I can't really sync it very well. But I actually will go ahead and move this so you can actually see the look of little alien birdie on Alien Soldier. But the main issue that I had was it does not have S-Video support. It only has Composite and RGB, and you can only get S-Video one of two ways. You can either internally mod it, which I was not going to do, because I don't want to internally mod an S-Video port on this, or you can go the external route. But during my time looking for it, the external route was quite expensive, because there was only one company called Composite that actually made an S-Video connector for this, and they didn't make it for very long. But even though they didn't make it for very long and it was super expensive, I patiently waited for somebody else to see what they can make, and somebody did. And lo and behold, over on Aliexpress for about $35 to $40 did they make a really nice S-Video box for the Sega Genesis. And all it's doing is it's taking the RGB signal and it's somehow converting it into S-Video by Luma and Chroma, which are the two signals that you send in to get the TV to display. So that's really awesome. So this whole video is going to be focusing on the picture quality, especially of this guy right here, even though we're going to be switching to Sonic a little bit later, on how everything looks. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start the comparison by taking a look at the S-Video box itself. Alright, so I'm back here with my Sega Genesis. It's right next to this TV because I don't have any room down here to put it. But this right here is the S-Video box. So it's very simple. It's just a black box. Has four little, feet on the bottom of it. Yeah, I lost my words there. And it has a little Model 1 connector. Now, this does work for a Sega Genesis Model 2. However, you basically have to make your own adapter to the Model 1. Besides that, though, this is essentially how it looks. So it gives you dual mono, which is really cool. I actually like that it does that because on the back here, it only gives you mono audio, whereas on the front, it gives you stereo, but that's through a headphone jack. So I'm using mono audio here, but it converts it to dual, which is awesome. And this is your S-Video port right there. So that's all it really comes with. It's a very simple box. It's really easy to plug in, and it works right off the bat. No external power, nothing like that. So let's go ahead and get into the comparison of Composite versus S-Video. And with that, we'll go ahead and switch over to Sonic. Alright, we got Sonic fired up, and the first thing I'm going to be showing you, of course, is the title. So this is how Sonic looks like on Composite, and if you want to, go ahead and pause just to take a look, because it's going to be gone right about now. But on Composite Video, it's not super bad. It's a little bit blurry. There is a little bit of rainbowing, of course, in the text and whatnot, but that's like with any Composite Video, you're basically going to get that. And of course, different Sega Genesis models also are affected with how much composite rainbowing there is. On mine particularly, there's not all that much, which is really cool. But on others, you will get a bit more, or maybe even a little bit less than mine. So, this is how it looks like. I'll go ahead and actually switch to a little still image to get up close to show you how Sonic looks like in there. Alright, we're back, and this is where I paused it at on the very first level of Sonic. So this is going to be pretty cool to take a look at as we get up close. This is how Sonic looks. That's more of just looking at it from the phosphor type, but when we look back a little bit, you kind of will see the detail. It might be a little blue thanks to the sky here, so I'm going to try to get a better look at it. But as you can see, you can also tell just from the bridge around here how these look circular in terms of its detail. How the fish looks up here. It looks alright, as well as the text. So this text is slightly blurry and it has a little bit of rainbowing, but it's not too bad. The rings over here look pretty okay. And of course this rock and all the details here. Now this definitely is a little blurry. You might not be able to capture that in the camera too well, but when I switch over to S-Video, we'll be able to see it. Probably the most notable thing, though, is this waterfall. So I wasn't really able to get to the big old waterfall section because I don't know where it is. I know I'm not really a true Sonic fan, per se, even though my favorite game is Sonic Heroes. But this waterfall is extremely blended in. All of the texture detail that comes from composite blending is in full effect there, which is really, really cool. That's something that's a slight downside that you might be able to recognize in S-Video when I go to switch because, and I'll talk about it more, about the effect of dithering and how it plays out on composite versus S-Video and RGB. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at switching over to S-Video. In particular, I'm very curious to see how the bridge turns out. Alright, and we have now switched over to S-Video, and everything becomes a lot more clear the moment you look at it. So, as I mentioned, the bridge, everything is way more tight and sharp. Down around here, all the scan lines on this set are very visible on this checkerboard pattern running across, and it's way sharper. Sonic in particular, it's quite a bit more detailed as well. He's looking pretty nice and speedy. Over here, this rock doesn't really have any rainbowing like it did before on the composite effect. These rings are quite a bit sharper as well. Text over here does not have any more composite rainbowing and is very much more readable because there's no blur going across the entire screen. So overall, super nice. But the main difference now is going to be this waterfall, as I mentioned earlier. Because there is hardly any blending now going on from composite, you can see the separations in the water, which causes it to not blend as much. But you can actually tell by looking at the angles where it's supposed to blend and how the water is supposed to look. That is your downside, or you might be able to say is a downside, or an upside if you actually like it like that a little bit more. But that's the kind of thing that you will encounter when you're looking at a screen like this when you go from composite to S-Video or RGB on a Sega Genesis. It does clear up the effect known as dithering. So what dithering is, it's a checkerboard pattern sort of design that's shaded onto a pixel image, and what's supposed to do is the composite video is then supposed to basically smooth it all out and create this really nice, partially transparent in a sense as well, if you wanted it to do it that way, background sort of shading, which is really, really cool. However, like I said, you lose it on this. Sonic, you don't see it as much. However, I might reset and show you the title screen here in just a bit. But you do lose it, especially on that waterfall there. So actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the title screen as well. There we go. So now we got Sonic loaded back up, just reset. And this is how it looks like on S-Video. So you can see it's way more sharp, details are way better, but you may have noticed, especially on the flag that was right there, there was a little bit of dithering effect going on, and that is no longer present. So it does not blend in that at all anymore. But overall, like I said, the image is a crap load smoother and sharper, which is awesome. It's a lot more readable, and overall, it's great. So that's what I was wanting to primarily show off for S-Video on the Sega Genesis, is that you don't have to modify it. You can just go ahead and get that like $35, $40 box from Aliexpress, and it'll look awesome in terms of its overall quality upgrade. Like I said, you lose out on dithering, but that's a little okay with me, especially for the upsides that you get. But that's pretty much all I got for the video, so go ahead and enjoy this B-roll footage, I guess you can say, of Sonic running around. But if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like on the video. I hope to make more soon. And get yourself one of these things, especially if you want to improve your Sega Genesis, but you don't have your TV or video monitor RGB modded, or if you don't want to mod in an S-Video port to your Genesis and leave it looking nice and pretty. Like I said, for the Model 2, you are going to need to make your own custom adapter. There are none available. But for the Model 1, it works right out of the box, no problems whatsoever. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.